Over the next few decades, the Metaverse will become immensely more advanced and integrated in our daily lives. Some people think the Metaverse is just a hype. Others believe it to be the greatest evolution of the internet. Together with the sharpest minds in this space, we are going to explore the future of the Metaverse. We want to understand the impacts of this new world, and in this show, we will find the answers. Welcome to Metaverse Mentors.
Perfect. Okay, the recording is now on. Okay, then we start in 3, 2, 1. So Mark, thank you for joining Metaverse Mentors. Very excited to have you today.
Thank you for letting me on the show, Samir. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to speak with someone who is operating in the heart of the Metaverse with a Metaverse company like Metamundo. And yeah, we can definitely learn a lot from that, I suppose, today. But before we really dive into the deep waters, I'm also interested in learning more about your background and also what your acquaintance has been like with the Metaverse, because obviously it's still quite a nebulous, new, unexplored idea. And I'm curious, can you give us a quick speed run on your background and how you got acquainted with the Metaverse, and what your idea or emotions or feelings were like when you got acquainted with the Metaverse, Mark?
Sure. So I actually have a background in architecture, but I never practiced architecture or property development in real life. I was always very interested in technology. I remember back in the day, in the 90s, I did a lot of selling on eBay, and I was in love with the emergence of the web. And 12 years ago now, I started my entrepreneurial career. The first project that I was really deeply involved in was a project called Arcello.com. I was part of the founding team there. That is now the world's largest social network for architects and designers. And that fascinated me about the idea that we could democratize the web and actually allow this profession that I obviously have a lot of passion for, to give them a podium and to empower them to promote themselves. That was my first experience of this intersection between architecture and technology and what it can do. 4 years after that, I started another company called Crowdy House, and that was a e-commerce marketplace for independent furniture makers. So Arcello was a social network, a publishing platform for architects to showcase their work. Crowdy House was an e-commerce marketplace using e-commerce technology to allow independent furniture makers to sell all over the world. That was another experience where I was working with an underrepresented and let's say an underempowered industry, and providing technology to allow them to sell all over the world and giving them and providing the tools to compete with the big guys. And then in 2017, so I've been in crypto since 2014. I remember the Mt. Gox days very well. In 2017, I worked on a project called Big X. I was part of the founding team there too. So after Arcello and then Crowdy House, I started Big X with a team of crypto developers. Also, that was founded in the Netherlands with actually financial lawyers to start the first ICO platform in the Netherlands. This was in 2017 when the ICO market was exploding. And again, that I found that as a really interesting tool to empower companies to get off the ground and to democratize and make it easier for people to actually own a part of a company and trade in a part of a company. we built an amazing platform, all KYC approved. And then, of course, in 2017, the market crashed. So that was a big burn. And since 2017, I actually was working as a consultant, helping other startups and e-commerce marketplaces and platforms with their growth strategy. And 7 months ago now, a good friend of mine, Finn, who was a product manager at Booking.com, and I knew him when he was the COO of Rockstart, the investment accelerator in Amsterdam. He was at my place in Portugal, and he showed me, obviously, and I knew about NFTs, but we were just brainstorming, and we saw, and we knew about Decentraland from back in the day, and we knew about the emergence of Sandbox, and we could see these metaverses appearing, but we were looking to buy some land, but then we saw that it was very difficult to actually build something on the land. Combining that with NFTs and smart contracts and the idea that you can apply royalties in perpetuity to a digital asset I started thinking, hey, I actually have this large network of architects and designers, and they've always struggled to defend their copyright, defend their IP, but then also open up your revenue streams, even maybe scalable revenue streams. And I saw the problem that the land in the metaverse needs to be built on. I saw this network of mine from previous startups and previous ventures, where I knew that these architects and designers have on their hard drives amazing 3D files. So we started looking around a little bit more, and we could not find an NFT marketplace focused on 3D assets. And we also saw that Epic Games acquired Sketchfab for a high figure. We don't know exactly how high. But with the idea that Epic Games acquired Sketchfab because they also saw the issue with the metaverse is the content. And Sketchfab, of course, is one of the largest 3D asset marketplaces. So we combined this NFT technology with my network of architects and designers, with the idea that the land in the metaverse needs to be built on, this shortage of 3D creators, and with the knowledge that architects and designers have an amazing catalog and library of 3D assets on their hard drives. So this was 7 months ago now. We went and spoke with a number of investors, and the ball started rolling. And here we are. We announced our funding round. We expect to launch the 3D marketplace very soon in March. And we've already onboarded some amazing 3D creators, and we raised a nice round of funding from some of the biggest metaverse-focused funds and the most reputable metaverse-focused funds as well, and investors.
Thank you for giving that background. That makes sense. And you said it's particularly difficult, or it was particularly difficult to buy virtual land on the marketplace. What was particularly difficult about that?
About building on the land?
Yeah.
It's time consuming. If you are not used to working with 3D builders and software, like the built-in 3D builder in Decentraland or the Sandbox, or even CryptoVoxels, which is arguably the easiest to build in, it's time consuming. And if you're not used to that software and you haven't been trained in organizing and designing space in general, it's definitely a barrier to overcome and a learning curve. And we saw that you can buy assets right now on OpenSea, for example, also on the Decentraland marketplace, also on the Sandbox marketplace. You can buy assets now to put on the land. But in general, there is a shortage of them. And 3D creators, we spoke with many 3D creators before we started fundraising to validate our hypothesis. And we came across 3D creators that were not incentivized to design and build just for Decentraland or just for Sandbox. So
Why is that? Why are they not incentivized, particularly to build for crypto voxels or a specific metaverse?
Decentraland and crypto voxels are not the first, and they're not going to be the last metaverse. The assets are not they're not interoperable between the metaverses, and there's not a big enough market just for, let's say, a metaverse asset for Decentraland, for a land asset. So our solution at Metamundo is we actually have provided a solution to solving the interoperability, let's say, problem. So the assets you can acquire in an NFT and it can be used in multiple metaverses. And this is the solution that we're building at Metamundo, where it's one NFT to be used across the metaverse, and it will be future-proofed also for upcoming metaverses in the future.
I think that's a really huge problem that you're solving, because let's say if I have this mic digitized and I want to utilize it in different metaverses, then probably I would have to buy a mic in Decentraland, but it's not transferable to Somnium Spaces, for example. But what you're actually saying, if I buy a virtual mic at Metamundo, then I can use it in different metaverses, not simultaneously, but I can they are portable to different metaverses. Is that right?
Correct. We've developed an NFT smart contract architecture that allows the creator, the metaverse architect, builder, to upload their best version of their 3D design. And we have in-house a number of conversion tools which actually convert that original file, that the best file that the 3D creator can provide. It converts that file and optimizes individual files for each metaverse. We then bundle the parent file and the children files in one NFT, and then you receive an optimized file for Decentraland, an optimized file for Somnium Space, for crypto voxels, and for many of the VR applications and metaverses. And then as time goes on and new metaverses appear, then we'll actually be minting new child files and adding those child files to the parent bundle. And
what does that explicitly mean, minting new child files compared to the file that emerged initially?
So the original file, the best version of the file, is the parent file, and that's the future-proofed 3D asset, which is the parent in this structure.
Okay, metaphorically speaking, because if the listeners have seen my previous podcast, they know I'm quite visual. Let's say we bought this virtual coffee cup at Metamundo. Then we have the parent file, so to say. What will happen afterwards, and what's the minting process? What does it look like?
So you'll send us the 3D file of your coffee cup, and that could be in a different 3D file format. That could be an FBX file. It could be GLTF. It could be even an AutoCAD file. We receive that file. We actually convert it into multiple files. Each file is optimized for each metaverse: Somnium Space, CryptoVoxels, Decentraland. And we then mint the parent and the children together in one wrapper. The parent file, the parent NFT, and it becomes then a parent NFT. Then it wraps the children in one wrapper. And that's the smart contract structure that we've developed.
All right, interesting. You just mentioned already a few examples on which metaverses, if you will, they could be used. On what is that determined? Is it infinitely utilizable in different metaverses, or is that contingent on with which metaverses Metamundo has partnered, or can you just do that with the code?
We're building, what you can do now is you can, for example, upload easily your NFT to Decentraland and put it on your land. So Decentraland is one of the metaverses that we're working with, and therefore we will be providing a child NFT that's optimized for Decentraland. The same with CryptoVoxels and the same with Somnium Space. We're working on the sandbox at the moment, and that is a metaverse that we would like to provide child NFTs for. And then in addition to that, there is also all of the VR applications, such as VR chat, spatial, where you'll also be able to use this NFT in this space.
Oh, really cool. Really cool. And I can definitely imagine that, constricting all this code behind the digital assets to make them portable between different metaverses is quite labor intensive. But let's say I would like to buy something from CryptoVoxels directly instead of via Metamundo. Isn't that then cheaper then, or how are the differences in proportion from a price perspective?
The market determines the price. So there will be, we believe because our NFTs have more utility, I believe inevitably they will be higher priced because they're also future proofed. They will be a better investment because you'll be able to use them across the metaverse. They have more utility, you'll be able to use them in more places. What kind of prices, because we haven't launched it, what kind of prices we expect, that's up to the market to decide. And we will start off with an auction model, and we will be curated to start with. So we will be working with some of the world's best architects and 3D creators as the initial artists on the platform.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be part of that auction process, because I can envision that if my NFT is portable between different metaverses, then I have at least some assurance that if one metaverse fails, then I can hop it over to some other world. So that would be a premium, I think, that I'm willing to pay. Are you guys the only ones that do it in this explicit form? And secondly, you already mentioned briefly that there is OpenSea, there is LuxRare, there is SoRare, a bit different. But how are you different? And in this explicit field, are you the only ones, or how do you see yourself positioned in this area?
As far as I know, we're the only NFT marketplace that has developed this solution to this unique problem, which is the real interoperability of, let's say, 3D assets between the metaverses. And there are other companies out there, let's say, that are experimenting with this kind of, let's say, the architecture. We actually were inspired by Digitalax, the fashion NFT marketplace, and Emma Jane, who founded that company, and also explored this parent and child architecture.
Interesting. So when does the action go live, actually?
So some key dates. The 15th of February, we are actually launching our NFT Genesis drop, the Meta portal. This will be actually a showcase of our technology, and it will be a portal that you can put on your land in the metaverse, and it will transport you to different areas and parts of the metaverse. We will be, over time, adding and providing extra, let's say, Easter egg surprises when you walk through and explore this portal. This could be backstage passes to events. It could be certain discounts on other NFT drops. It could be whitelisting on other NFT drops. It could be, for example, ending up in Snoop Dogg's house in the sandbox, or you could end up backstage at an event in Decentraland with Paris Hilton and her avatar. These are just some of the ideas that we have. And we're also partnering with some really interesting other NFT projects, such as MetaKey, Properties NFTs, and a few more.
Very interesting. I like surprises, so I will definitely note that in my agenda. But for the ones that are listening, don't forget that.
And then the second key date is in early March. We will be launching the NFT Marketplace, and we'll be launching with 5 top 3D creators, and we'll be launching with some exclusive drops.
Okay. Is the date already disclosed when in March, or just around the beginning?
Beginning of March at the moment.
Okay, got it. You earlier mentioned that the NFTs from Metamundo, for the reasons already mentioned, will probably have higher utility, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because sometimes when I'm speaking with people outside the NFT realm or a crypto realm, there is a natural tendency or a reflection that people are thinking, why the hell would I buy a 3D object? What should I do with that? I want to have something tangible. How would you counter that, or what's your perspective on that particular argument?
Whether a metaverse asset is worth investing in, is that the question?
Yeah, probably that's part of the question, but I think there's also a psychological component, because if I have something tangible in my hands, it's like, okay, I do really own this. I don't know, some underlying physical emotion. But if it's virtual, it seems to be a bit more, to me not, but it could be to some people that's a little bit more foreign. How do you, what do you think there?
I think the important thing to make people aware of is just as a real life example. I was back at my parents' house for Christmas, and I have a nephew, 10-year-old nephew, who plays Fortnite. And for Christmas, he received some wearables, some skins in Fortnite.
Okay.
And this is where the younger generation are spending a huge amount of time, right? These 3D metaverses, Fortnite, Roblox, even Minecraft, where you can buy assets, skins, wearables, houses. And these assets are locked into these walled garden metaverse games. These are closed metaverses. And I see money was spent on these skins for Fortnite. But this is the new online identity, right? So skins, avatars, but also assets, houses, cars, things to use in the metaverse. And this is where, kids are spending time now, and the younger generation, but also some of the older generation.
I'm still spending time there, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. But if you look at, for example, Roblox's numbers, their metrics, it's phenomenal just how many kids are spending and meeting up with friends and organizing social get-togethers in Roblox as a metaverse and spending money there. And our belief is based on Web3 principles, where, you know, using blockchain technology, you can actually move and own these assets across, let's say, the internet. So if there's already a huge amount of money being spent on 3D assets and skins and wearables in these closed metaverses, then we're saying let's make them interoperable. Let's make sure that this money being spent is a real investment. Because
Yeah.
Fortnite, they could just shut down, anytime. So could Roblox. And then you've lost all of those assets. But what we're saying is with blockchain, because those assets are stored on the blockchain, they're your property, they're connected to your wallet.
Yeah, I really hated it. A couple of years ago, I played Ultimate Team a lot, and I spent significant amount of money on those cards. But then you have the new FIFA in the new year, and unfortunately, they aren't portable, so I have to spend another hundreds of euros, in the Netherlands on those. But how cool can it be if I can just transfer them to the next one, or even to a Pro Evolution Soccer game or another game? So yeah, I think the desire, for me at least, and for many other, especially the younger generation, is quite pretty high to extract the value from what you're investing, and also have the upside of appreciating the value in the future, because that's also a scenario. So I can see the value there. What I'm really interested in, because of your architecture background, is the following. So there is a lot of 3D objects being created at the moment, very creative things, some more simplistic. And I'm interested, coming from your background, what are the key features or characteristics that, in your view, define some artists like really distinct or really high quality, so to say? Of course, that's subjective, but what are the key features that you are looking at when evaluating or looking at a digital object and saying, okay, this is really cool?
It's really interesting. Obviously, architects, they're trained to create space, but throughout their careers, they've been restricted by planning regulations and gravity and physics. What we can do now is create spaces that really inspire, can take you into a different world, to evoke different emotions and feelings. And with some of the work and some of the artists that we, speak to and look and enjoy and explore, the 3D assets that evoke emotion are the really interesting ones for the metaverse. And these could be, we've seen, NFT galleries with beautiful parks in the middle, or towers that are fun, that you can walk up and enjoy. We've also seen, meditative spaces where you can go in the metaverse to go and relax and take some time out from all of the impulses and inputs that we have, in our lives at the moment. So many different things, but it's also interesting when we speak with 3D creators and architects that, a house, a villa in the metaverse doesn't need a kitchen. because you're not going to be cooking. But it needs surprises. It needs fun things to do. So we're definitely seeing some different approaches to this, and you can see it that the real creative architects and also designers can take it to another level. We've seen psychedelic caves that you can walk into, and there's all sorts of colors swirling around, for example. And yeah, there are no limits. So I think we should be seeing a lot more as the metaverse develops. At the moment, it's very much a replica of the real world, but I think we can go much further.
What are perhaps some forms of digital creations that we haven't seen so far or so frequent that you envision and that you are most excited about that could emerge in the future?
I think these different worlds, different imagined places, where you can take some time out and explore something completely new. But we really just have to see. At the moment, it's also very similar to some of the art that we're seeing as well in the NFT world. I'm very excited about some of the, let's say, the intelligent NFTs that are coming out, and I would like to see that in the metaverse too. For example, the Alethea project, which is an AI avatar that you buy of a well-known historic person or even a fictional person like Sherlock Holmes. I would like to see more of this in the metaverse, more AI-driven interactions.
This is very cool. I haven't heard that so frequently. I heard an example about Van Gogh, the artist from the Netherlands, that they had some sort of NFT application, and you could talk to his previous emotion, and then he would respond with specific letters towards you. That was also interesting.
Is that not the Alethea project? Do they not have Vincent Van Gogh?
Yeah, probably it's a sub part of it. Yeah,
I think. They have a number of historic people.
Okay, those are quite some cool combinations. From an economic perspective, just to get the entire model or mechanism clear, where do the architects get their bread from, and where is Metamundo in that entire chain? And then we as end users, how should we see that? Is that the same as the traditional, not traditional, but as like an OpenSea operates, or how does that go?
So let's say the architecture industry right now, the top architects, they enter a lot of competitions. And those competitions are tenders for real life projects. They have a team working on designing the 3D model for these competitions. And more often than not, they don't win the competition because there's many entries. These 3D assets then are stored on the hard drive, and most likely they don't come back to them. We have requests all the time from metaverse landowners. Hey, I need a DJ venue for the metaverse. I need an NFT gallery for the metaverse. I need a villa. What we want to do is we say, hey, architects, if you guys have a villa or an NFT gallery or a DJ venue, let's work together. You give us the asset, we put it on Metamundo. we convert it, we create the NFT and we convert it and make sure that it works in each metaverse. And then we say to let's say the customers, the landowners and the builders and the buyers, here's a great 3D asset for you to bid on and hopefully win. Our commission will be 15% to start for the primary minting commission, mostly because of this this extra attention that we give towards the creators, and we optimize the files on their behalf. We also put the creators on a podium and interview them, help them with promoting themselves as artists, and that's our business model. That's how it works.
I'm glad that you're mentioning that, and thanks for that 15% instead of a 50. That helps the architects a lot. But yeah, you mentioned putting the architects on a podium, and I sense that there is a lot of marketing being done in this space, ranging from influencers on Twitter, on YouTube, to chilling in Discord groups, and perhaps sometimes even on LinkedIn. What is your idea on cutting through the noise as from Metamundo?
We are obviously working with the metaverses themselves, also our investors and our partners. I think each creator needs its own approach. So yeah, there's many different marketing techniques and channels that we will do for each creator. We'll do the bare minimum is actually a full Q&A, Twitter Spaces, promotion obviously in our channels in the Discord, and then working with our partners too, and then PR and yeah, other social media channels too.
So we really get the opportunity actually to kind of connect with the artist that we are talking about because of the Q&A and learning about their backgrounds, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, that's interesting. Before we are nearing towards the end, an element that we have been speaking about in previous podcasts also, the impact and evaluating the impact on the environment. When I did some pre-research, I saw you partnered with Polygon. Can you talk us through a bit through that consideration and its interrelation with the environment?
Sure. So yes, we as a company, but also our creators are environmentally conscious, and therefore we looked for a platform where we could efficiently mint the NFTs, and we came across Polygon, and we had the choice between Solana, Polygon, Immutable X as more efficient chains for us to mint NFTs on, and we really liked the efficiency of Polygon, the speed, but also because most of the other metaverses use Polygon too, that means that the assets are immediately interoperable across these metaverses. So Decentraland, Somnium Space, all Polygon assets live also in these metaverses.
Could you perhaps expound a bit on how that diminishes or minimizes compared to other chains the impact from an environmental perspective?
So minting on Polygon is, I believe, 99.5% more efficient than minting on Ethereum, because obviously it's a proof of stake and not proof of work, and that makes the minting process far more efficient. Whereas Ethereum, I think even Ethereum have come out themselves and said, look, we need these extra layers, the layer 2s and the side chains to do these processes on our behalf. And Polygon's doing a very good job at that.
Yeah, glad that this starts taken into consideration. And yeah, I learned a lot both from NFTs, metaverses, architectures, and for me that's personally very insightful. But I'm curious if I ask you the following question on some closing thoughts or a message perhaps for architects or listeners in general about the topics that we just covered. What would it be, Mark, that you would like to share with us?
I think I would like to share the vision for Web3 and the metaverse. If we are in this Web3 movement right now, we need to encourage and educate as many people as possible about this concept, about the idea that we can own our assets, our digital assets that live online and on the internet. And this is really what NFTs are about. And the concept that we are not closed in by any companies, that we own decentralized assets. I think it's a beautiful concept, and I just hope as many other people can come on board with this concept, because we are up against some bigger parties that are not for this movement. So I would just like to encourage everyone to educate themselves on Web3, on the open metaverses in particular. So open metaverses are Decentraland, Sandbox, Somnium Space, Crypto Voxels, Wilder World, Nifty Island, places where you can spend time, meet friends, that will also allow you to own assets which are interoperable across different platforms.
Hopefully we have established some education already, Mark, with this podcast itself. And perhaps to narrow down just a bit more explicitly, could you perhaps pinpoint to the listeners and viewers what some to-go-to sources perhaps that you use as well, or that you have top of mind to accelerate that education and to get up to speed, but also remain up to date, because the space obviously moving pretty fast.
I think the investors, Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, they write very good opinion pieces on Web3 and the metaverse. That's a really good start to go on their blog and to read their opinions on the space. And obviously, well, there's an investor at Andreessen Horowitz called Chris Dixon, who's very interesting and someone that you should follow. And then actually, one of our investors, Piers Kicks, he's on Twitter. He wrote a very good piece on the metaverse, the open metaverse and interoperable assets and Web3. He's got that on his Twitter account. I don't know when he wrote it, but it was definitely before everything took off. And that's a really good blog post as well to read on this subject.
Thank you for sharing those to sources. So to close off with, I have already noted the 15th of February in my agenda, and keep me posted if I forget it. Hopefully I get a reminder. But where can we find you guys and you, Mark, if we want to learn more?
We are active in our Discord. Visit metamundo.co. You can join our Discord from our website. You'll be able to come in, ask us questions. We'll have an AMA very soon to discuss our drop. Actually, that's also the place where you can get whitelisted for our NFT drop, the Meta Portal. Visit us there, chat with us. We're open. The team's in there, so that's the best place.
All right. Thanks, Mark, for your time. Wish you best of luck with the launch, and really looking forward how everything and stuff is going in 6 months or 12 months. And perhaps we can run this again to see how everything's going.
Thank you, Samir.
Thank you.